Hello everyone and welcome to my review of the New Japan Cup 2021. My god, what a fucking tournament it was. Wild stuff going throughout the months. I mean, we had a fucking earthquake. We had upsets galore. Was quite the tournament. One to remember for sure. As far as some great matches throughout the tournament as well. As just a little, this review is going to break down kind of what happened throughout the rounds. Not really more of a match breakdown of a review, more of just an overlay of what happened throughout and just kind of my thoughts throughout the entire tournament. So obviously this is going to be uploaded the day after the finals, so we are post the finals and whatnot. So obviously everything's all wrapped up and ready to go. The tournament's been done and all that. So for the first round, obviously, probably the best match was Okada Shingo. I would say by far. I mean, that match was fucking awesome, and the run that Shingo had. We're just talking about Shingo right out of the gate. For my preview, I was hoping for the win. I was hoping, fingers crossed, for the win, because you figured it was either going to be him and Ospreay in the finals, and that's exactly what happened. That was just his run. From having either the Okada match in the first round, the second match he beats Goto, which that was an awesome match too. Takes on Kenta, which they never faced each other before, which that was awesome and just a run when you beat Okada, Goto, Kenta, and then he also beat Evil, which Evil, that's a whole other thing. But then you have the Ospreay match for him in the finals. But that was just an awesome run by Shingo. Definitely the New Japan Cup MVP by a fucking mile. I don't think it's close to anybody. Just some great stuff. Another great match, though, I will say this. Will Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. That was a really great match. That was probably... Going into it, I figured their styles could produce a great match because they're just so completely different. They're so complete polar opposites of what they do and what their style is, and that can be a nice styles clash of a match. Worked out really, really well. Even better than I assumed. Because everyone knows my opinion of Will Ospreay, which we'll talk about him later on as far as what happened with him in the finals. But that match specifically, it was probably his best match of the tournament. I thought, I thought that was a really good match. Jeff Cobb, he beat Kojima. I was hoping he'd beat Evil. He ended up losing to Evil. That bummed me out. Fucking Great-O-Khan. We saw the upset coming with Naito. Called that one. I think everybody did. And then him losing to Yano, though. Boy, that wrong decision there. Because then when you have Yano beat him, then Evil's making the fucking... making the Final Four. I hated that more than anything. Evil's stock has just went down. But I will say this. Evil and Shingo, even though that match was a step down compared to the other Shingo matches, it was still Evil's best match, I think, since the turn to joining Bullet Club. I felt like that was probably his best match since then. It's pretty close, though. I would say... Maybe not any of those Naito matches were better than that, though. So, yeah, I think I'm sticking with that claim that the Shingo Evil New Japan Cup match was probably better than anything he's done since the turn joining Bullet Club. So that was at least nice for Evil, but I just did not want him to go in that Final Four. And sure enough, I would have been way cooler with Great-O-Khan. But, though, looking at the bottom right of the bracket, though, fucking David Finlay Jr. What a run. Perfect. That is exactly what New Japan Cup should be about. Upsets and getting guys who don't have that type of position usually make it to a Final Four. Great job. He beats fucking Jay White with an upset too. Of course, the history there. Jay White and Dave Finlay Jr. obviously, Young Lion classmates and Dojo classmates. So you have that history there. Perfect stuff. Then obviously you're like, well, he's gonna, once he beats Jay White, Ospreay's making the final. So it kind of... Either way, you kind of sets up, Ospreay for an easy finals run, but still, it was awesome to see Dave Finlay Jr., especially in that bottom right bracket, when there wasn't really a lot of big names. It was just kind of Jay White and Tanahashi, and then just having Dave Finlay Jr. coming out and being a Final Four participant. I thought that was some great stuff. The Suzuki Kenta match was a lot of fun too. That was an awesome match. That was a second round matchup that I really, really enjoyed. I thought that was some great stuff. Goto and Shingo we talked about earlier. I'm trying to think of other second round matches. Ishii Nagata, that was awesome. Or not Ishii Nagata, Sanada Nagata rather. It's Ishii Sanada. That was a tough first round matchup to call because that it could have went either way. And having the Sanada Ospreay match, that made a lot of sense. You're just like, well, you have Ospreay, you just kind of knew going into it that Ospreay was going to either be in the finals or end up winning the whole goddamn thing. Just the way he had been booked and the way he had the match with Okada and Wrestle Kingdom, he lost to that match. So you had to have him get some type of big win throughout the March with the New Japan Cup or even the G1, which I would rather him win this cup than him winning the G1. So I'm cool with that either way. So then, we have the finals with Shingo, Ospreay. Shingo and Ospreay. Obviously, these two have had some of the best matches I've ever seen. The first match they had, the Best Super Juniors, the finals of the Best Super Juniors, was just insane. Just an incredible match. The G1 match last year was pretty okay. Nothing, I would say, somewhat of their same type of, the chemistry they have is just incredible. Shingo's timing of a lot of stuff is just incredible, and he can do a lot of great stuff. But this match, there was a spot that I will have to talk about because I think it was shown all over the social medias, but also just because I think that spot, it could have easily been tweaked to been better, and that's the spot, I think everybody's seen it. Shingo hits Pumping Bomber. Ospreay basically does a full-on flip, lands on his feet, doesn't sell it, goes right into the Os Cutter. That could have been done so many different ways that made that a lot, not just only better, but made the match flow even better. I think they love that spot where he flips and lands on his feet. So you can still have that spot, but you could have Ospreay sell his chest, kind of even wince down after landing on his feet, having his eyes going like, wow, I can't believe I just fucking did that type of thing. And then Shingo turns around like, oh shit, he's still up, go for the lariat again, then have Ospreay duck it into the Os Cutter. It just would have made a lot more sense. I think it would have flowed better. Plus, you would have got a pop from him landing on his feet. Crowd would have been like, oh shit, and then you duck it, and another shit, here comes the Os Cutter. Just another kind of pop in the match. So I think it would have flowed a lot better. Plus, I think it would have just organically let the moment kind of flow and make everybody have a reaction. But that's not kind of the way wrestling works out. Wrestling's now all about fucking gifs, and if you can do things that could fit in a time frame of a gif, it would be better off for you. But it's kind of a lot of the philosophy for a lot of those junior guys. Ospreay obviously doing that. Ospreay getting the win, New Japan Cup. Broke my little heart, as you probably all figured. Shingo was the goddamn man, but I'm okay with it. If Shingo's gonna lose here, and it looked like they were building him up much differently than they have in years past with his matches. They gotta give him the G1. They have to give him this G1. He has been, without a doubt, so far, we're 3 months in, but he's, without a doubt, been the MVP of Japanese Pro Wrestling, by far. The matches he's had with Jeff Cobb at Wrestle Kingdom, the Tanahashi match, his G1, his New Japan Cup matches with Okada, with fucking Goto, with Kenta, and, with his finals with Ospreay, has been just some of the best matches in Japanese Pro Wrestling, I think. I still think Jeff Cobb, the match with Jeff Cobb, I still have it as my fucking match of the year. Even, 3 months in. That match was so fucking awesome, and it was just, the way it was done was just perfect for me. Maybe there'll be something that tops it, obviously. You don't want to not put it on such a high pedestal where it can't be broken, but I still, so far. The Tanahashi match, I wanted to like that match a lot more, but there was times where it was just like, you kind of just was knowing that Tanahashi's going to win and just how slow it became there at the end. It was just kind of like going at a snail's pace towards the end, and I was just kind of over the match. But that was just kind of my thoughts on that. I'm sure, I know a lot of people praise that match a lot more highly, but still like a good match. I just think it fell apart towards the end. That was just kind of my big complaint. And the big complaint for the New Japan Cup was after the match. Bushi comes out, Ospreay cuts a little promo, then out of fucking nowhere, out of nowhere, jumping, leaping Os Cutter on Bea. And then, right then, it was like a oh shit moment. Because obviously New Japan, they don't do man-on-woman violence that much. I wouldn't say violence, that sounded a little fucking extreme. They don't usually do intergender stuff. The last time they really did something intergender was China and Chono, which that was obviously like 20 years ago. I want to say it was 2000, 2001, so yeah, definitely 20 years ago. There's so many different groups of people involving this angle, because it caused so much controversy, that angle did. You have so many different camps. You have the camp where it's Will Ospreay involved, so they're going to hate it because it's Will Ospreay involved. Now, a lot of people probably assume I'm in that camp. Honestly, for me, with that spot, it's, sure, it was out of nowhere. Sure, it's very different than what New Japan does. And sure, it's not something, do I think it was smart? Not really. And I wouldn't say it was not justified, but this is just the start of the angle. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of it, so I try not to judge anything before I've seen the final product and see what happened from the beginning to the end of it. But, so, I mean, obviously a very out-of-nowhere moment, so I'll give Gedo that. It's something that I did not see coming, and you can't really say that a whole lot about New Japan, especially with this New Japan Cup. I think everybody assumed the finals, it's going to be Shingo Ospreay, and then you have that angle at the end. The idea of it is obviously Ibushi being the good guy, being the babyface, was gonna be so offended and being so righteous about avenging that, attack on Bea. So it kind of gives Ibushi that kind of babyface. But really, it sucks because for a lot, it kind of throws Ibushi in the spot where he's like, well, now I have to kind of be the babyface, great guy. Where it's like, no, I'm gonna beat that fucking woman beater and piece of shit. Where, and there's the other camps involved with this. That's just kind of my opinion. I think it makes... obviously, I don't think Ospreay's going to beat him now after that angle. That would be kind of weird to have Ospreay get the win, afterwards. I'm assuming either Bea is going to... Maybe she got written off. That could be another thing, too. That's a very big possibility that they're writing her off. Maybe because she wants to do other things besides just being a manager in New Japan. Maybe she's, wanting to do Stardom more, wanting to do something. Obviously Konami owning New Japan and Stardom, obviously that's going to be something that maybe she just wants to focus somewhere else and not be involved as far as New Japan a lot and being booked on a lot of those dates where you just kind of stand around and be with Will. Maybe that's just something she wanted to do, so, obviously writing her off there. A lot of different scenarios, but, with the camps that are involved with people who did not like that angle, there's so many different ways you can go about it. There's, like I said before, just people hating that angle because it has Will Ospreay in it, which, I get it, especially Will Ospreay's past of how he's treated women in the past. I could see why people can have a problem with that. I think there's some other camps that just do not like intergender stuff in wrestling, and to each his own. I'm not someone who's going to judge or bash anybody for what they think or what they want in wrestling, because I think wrestling is very suggestive and should kind of garner to anybody you want. That's just kind of me, so even if it's someone who doesn't like intergender wrestling, even though I feel like it's not a big deal, it happens in film, it happens in television, there's a lot of stuff like that where for years, when you'd have someone in media, for instance, the Joker, for instance, when he ever had Harley Quinn by his side, usually he'd treat Harley like a piece of shit. Obviously, everybody's like, wow, what a piece of shit treating Harley like that. When, obviously, Harley just devoted and loved Joker, and the Joker just would obviously use her and not really care about her, and just would be like, I'm tired of this fucking shit type of thing. Obviously, the reason why that is, it's another layer for you, the viewer, to hate that character because he's such a piece of shit towards something like that. So, like a woman. Or just treating a spouse that way. There's other things, through media, the other examples, where something like that happens. You have characters who are deemed bad guys doing bad things, so that's just kind of how I justified it. Plus, obviously, it's a pro wrestling angle. Obviously, everything's scripted and everything is approved beforehand by the performers, so obviously, Bea is okay with it, obviously, Will's okay with it, obviously, they're in a relationship, so they're used to working together, and they've wrestled before, so that's another thing, too. So obviously, it's not too crazy that they interact against each other in a wrestling way, but a lot of people still did not enjoy it and felt uncomfortable during that angle. And there was even people who brought up the fact that right now in Japan, it is a record high as far as domestic abuse cases. Now, I think that is a bit of a reach as far as, should something like that be involved in a pro wrestling angle. For years, for years, I think as a fan, there's things that you just assume are off-topic stuff in pro wrestling. I don't want to go through all of them because a lot of them are just very much common sense. There's some people that I believe think that a man-on-woman interaction in an angle should not be involved in pro wrestling, should be in the no space of wrestling. There's still some people that think that's okay. For me, it's part of the show. It's part of a bad guy getting heat. It's part of a good guy getting some babyface sympathy, making, going for the save, trying to help the girl that's being attacked by the man. It's weird saying attacked, because it's not like it's like there was a beatdown. He just hit the finish on her. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of people, I think, that are jumping to conclusions on a lot of those angles, and a lot of, like, I saw somebody on Twitter really just fucking took a whole nother level on a lot of these takes, where going like, well, it'd be like if someone was I don't even want to say, because it was such a terrible take, because I don't want anyone to misconstrue that I was saying that take, because it was just such a terrible take. I'm just sitting, like, just reading, I'm like, wow, these people are so, I wouldn't say gullible, but it's just something just off about something where you take that pro wrestling angle, where obviously everybody involved is okay with the angle, and obviously this is a media form where it's not really domestic abuse, this is just a wrestler hitting a finish on another wrestling talent that just happens to have a different gender. I mean, I just feel like it was a bit of a leap to get, offended, or at least offended. If you didn't like the angle, by all means, you can have that theory. Me personally, though, I feel like it was unnecessary. Yeah, but, I still don't know how it's going to turn out. And this might be something beneficial. This might have just been just a Ghetto's idea of adding a little bit more flavor to that match at Sakura Genesis now, to have a little bit of babyface fire for Bushi, being like, hey, I'm going to do this for the fucking women. I'm doing this for Bea, he's going to pay for what he's done. If you're going to do that, but fine. By all means, you have Ibushi get the win, and he, conquers the fucking guy who hit his finisher on his girlfriend. By all means. I think this really, for some odd reason, they wanted to add a little extra layer of heat towards Will Ospreay's character. By all means, if you think that's the way to go, you can try it. I'm not sure how the Japanese fan base goes about it. If there's Japanese fans who are kind of still thinking that it was legitimate or something like that, then I don't want to discredit those fans. But it's like, come on, it's pro wrestling. Come on. It's pro wrestling in 2021. Like, I think everybody understands the gimmick now. I think everybody understands this is a work. This is acting. This is Shakespearean theater. This is live theater. You see a lot more crazier shit in theater. Fucking Romeo and Juliet, the kids commit suicide at the end. Like, there's crazier stuff in theater compared to just a pro wrestling match where the guy hits his finish on the girl. I don't know, but that's just me. That's just you could think and you could feel the way you feel, because you're entitled to that opinion. You're entitled to your viewing, to your feelings and how you view the product. If you're so appalled by it that you don't want to watch wrestling, or not just watch wrestling in general, don't want to watch New Japan anymore, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. That's, by all means, there's so much different pro wrestling out there. You can find the product you want and you want to display. But I think at the end of the day, is it so taboo that it shouldn't have happened? I don't think so. I don't think it's that taboo. I respect Gedo for going in a different direction. I will say that, though, about this whole thing, because that's something very different. That's something that hasn't been done in New Japan, again, in 20 years. So I think it's a whole new audience of New Japan fans, it's something very different and very new. So it's, for a lot of people, when they see something new, they might turn away from it just because of that it's new. And it's something very different, and it makes them feel maybe uncomfortable about this new thing. But, my hat's off to Gedo. My hat's off to everybody that performed the New Japan Cup. I think it was a hell of a tournament. Kind of crazy that you see Tanahashi lost in his first match. You saw Okada lost in his first match. And Naito lost his first match. So you have 3 of the 4 biggest stars of New Japan being out in the first round. So I love that New Japan is trying to make some new guys out of this. Good on them. They just keep trying to make some new stars. That's the best thing you can do. Because obviously Okada, Tanahashi, Naito, they're established already. They don't need, and Suzuki too, even though he lost in the second round. those guys are established. They're established. They don't have to get any over. They are just. But the guys like Great-O-Khan, who I felt like they needed. Great-O-Khan should have been in the Final Four, in my opinion. It should have been him and Shingo at the Final Four. That's just me. Maybe Great-O-Khan's going to have a better run in the G1. That's all. But as far as just things that could have been improved, definitely the spot with Ospreay where he should have sold it. Great-O-Khan should have made a Final Four, in my opinion, over Evil. And, I would have loved Shingo getting the win, but if that just means Shingo's going to win a G1, yeah, he can lose in the finals here. Then go on and win a G1. That's a lot better for me, and that's a lot better as a Shingo fan. It's a much more prestigious award-winning achievement than winning a New Japan Cup, but that's just me. So thank you all for listening to my little rant and rave of the New Japan Cup. All in all, though, I feel like New Japan in the first 3 months of 2021 have done a pretty good job. With this Ospreay angle, hopefully they can salvage it, and at least it can still be a great match between Ibushi and Ospreay, which I'm assuming it will be. They've had some great matches in the past, so don't see why not. But we will catch you guys next time for the preview of Sakura Genesis.